I wanted to play with my friends, but I couldn't, said Piedad, who grew tired of caring of her four younger siblings and killed them all within a month. The details of this case occurred in Spain 51 years ago and still are talked about today for how shocking they are. Piedad Martinez de Acqua had a very large family, being the third eldest of eight siblings. Humble, working class, and hardworking, she found herself in a daily routine facing a bothersome scenario from which there was no turning back. Piedad, who had no compassion left, ended the lives of four of her younger siblings after growing tired of caring for them, whenever their parents, Andres and Antonia, went to work. At the end of December 1965, Marie Carmen mysteriously died at just 9 months old. Social Security arrived at the home, examined the baby, and diagnosed her with death due to meningitis. It didn't surprise the parents who had lost a 2 month old baby earlier from the same cause. The fact is that 5 days later, 2 year old Mariano also passed away from fatal meningitis. But the suspicion finally became real when Fuensanta, another child from the household, died of the same condition a week later. The family doctor refused to sign the girl's death certificate and instead went to juvenile court to explain what had happened. Pressure from neighbors led to the entire family being admitted to the provincial hospital of Murica, as they initially suspected some other condition of food intolerance. None of that was the case, though. They underwent various tests, and all the results were favorable, so they were discharged to spend the holidays at home. In 1966, fear had gripped the streets of the Carmen neighborhood. A few contagious diseases were rumored to have spread from house to house, claiming that this was the cause of the death of the three children who had died just 5 days apart. Then the rumor became true because on January 4th, the same year, Andres, just 5 years old, passed away from the same cause as his three deceased siblings. Suspicion shifted, and neighbors wondered if a strange virus had been jumping from one dead sibling to another living one, causing the deaths. Since they all presented the same symptoms, the four bodies were sent to the National Institute of Health in Madrid, but no virus was actually detected. They were exhumed and buried in a local cemetery. However, the forensic anatomical examination did reveal something that all of the siblings had been poisoned. Then, the parents were imprisoned and interrogated. They were even subjected to psychiatric examinations. The news had shaken all of Spain, and the press was focused on investigating what had happened in the household. With special correspondence and days of coverage at the Martinez de la Cueva home. Piedad, under the gaze of the photographers, always remained passive, something that had begun to arouse the interest of the journalists. The police began to suspect Piedad When they learned that she was responsible for caring for the children and especially for feeding them. An inspector had set a trap for Piedad. He invited her to a bar and took the advantage and pretended that he was going to poison her glass of milk. The girl first started laughing and then became angry. She stopped him and said, "Don't do that. You could really hurt someone." When the investigator insisted that she drinks the poisoned milk, she flatly refused him. Then he asked her outright, "Does it hurt? Is it like what you gave your little brothers to drink?" The little girl's contorted face spoke for itself. The police officer was stern, his gaze even more so, managing to convince Piedad, against all odds, getting a straight up confession from her. "It was me who killed the four. The first three were on my mother's orders." "And the last one?" the investigator asked her. "I killed him alone, my own impulse." As the days passed, she explained how she prepared the poison to kill her siblings. She crushed metal cleaning tablets and mixed them with rat poison. She made small pellets and added them to the children's glasses of milk. The chlorine and cyanide caused their fatal deaths, making it look like a fatal meningitis. Even while in a psychiatric hospital, she continued to blame her mother, inventing five different stories, all of them false. "I wanted to go out and play with my friends, but I couldn't. I always had to take care of my siblings," she once confessed to the newspaper El Caso. As a minor, she was admitted to a convent where they cared for her. Nothing more was heard from Piedad afterwards. And unfortunately, more misery came upon the family when Piedad's two older brothers, Antonio and Manuel, were arrested for stealing a motorcycle. Then, at the end of 1978, 15 inmates escaped from the prison after digging a tunnel. The most notorious then was Piedad's older brother, who had murdered a taxi driver after robbing him 3 months earlier. Andres, the father, had lost his job and nothing was ever the same for him. Fatal blindness plunged him and his family into poverty, leading to his death just a few years later.